What's up? We're back with Carter, the big sea dog, and we have a good question to get us started off today, brother. First of all, introduce yourself, a little bit about yourself, where you're from, and
where you're from.
What kind of
specifically where I'm from?
Yeah, what exactly town?
Yeah, what's your address?
Okay,
we'll put that in the description.
Yeah, we're not doing that.
Melissa.
Well, first and foremost, hello, fellow honk daddies. It's good to be here. Thanks for having me on the podcast again. Glad to be here with Shane, because last time it was just Josh, so I get the full honk effect now. So I'm kind of happy about that.
You've never been on the podcast before.
Oh, right. That wasn't me. That was Shane, but different color. No, don't think about it too hard. What was the question?
So, what I'm excited to figure out today, and Josh doesn't know this is coming, but honestly, I've got to give you mad props because you used to be a little chub tub, dude.
A little chub tub.
You used to be a little chub tub, and I actually have been admiring you from a distance. I've been going, you know what, dude? Carter's kind of getting swole.
I don't know.
You kind of brought like all your life together, all of your, you used to be soft, emotionally and bodily, and I actually have noticed that you work on yourself. And I want to know, was there something specifically? Was there a specific point where you turned the needle?
Ooh, okay.
Or what did it?
Was there a motivation?
Oh,
yeah,
100%. Okay, so this is actually that's actually a really good question. Thank you for asking that. I appreciate it.
I noticed it.
Turn up already.
Oh man, that's crazy. All right, okay. So
he's gonna cry.
I'm gonna cry on the podcast.
Bro, we have 100 subscribers.
Yeah, that's crazy. Okay,
you're gonna cry?
It wasn't really like I wouldn't say I would give you an answer, like a straight answer to the. I'll answer the. Was there one turning point first? Okay. I would say no. It was more like multiple like touch points. So like different times in my life where I was like, okay, I need to change this about my life. And then once I got that part of it figured out, I was like, okay, I need to change this next part of my life. And then it was just kind of like a gradual kind of growth.
But be more specific.
I'm getting there. So it all kind of really started when I was dating my first girlfriend in college. Okay, I know both of you remember her specifically.
Amen.
Do I need to mention her name or
No.
Okay, I'm not going to mention her name because she's probably not watching this, but shout out. No, I'm just kidding.
Shout out your ex. It's crazy.
Thanks for making me who I am today, lady. Anyway, okay, so when I was dating her, she was just it was not a good relationship for me, both physically and emotionally. Okay, so she was just kind of horrible to me. And so once I got out of that, I kind of was like, all right, I need to fix the up here. So I like worked on my mental a lot. And then I looked at myself in the mirror one day and I was like, oh my goodness, you let yourself go. And then it got worse when I came back home from college, okay, and I go to church, and someone's mom decided to walk up to me and she was like, whoa, you've gotten fat. She literally looked at me at church and just like stared me up and down and was like, wow, she didn't say you got fat. She said, wow, you've gained some weight. And I was like, yeah, I know. So I knew at that particular moment that I had to change some things. So that
so did that like...
Yeah, we got to unpack this real quick.
Let's take it slow.
Okay, okay.
Let's kind of unpack, because that's what I'm curious about. I'm curious about each, like, do you remember when she said, hey, by the way, Carter, you're tub of lard over here.
Okay.
Did you immediately go home that night and you're like, I'm working out tomorrow, I'm working out tonight, everything in my life is changing? Or did you kind of slowly step into it?
It was more like I shelved that comment, because if not, I probably would have cried. No, not really. I wouldn't have cried. No, it was more like, okay.
You didn't return the insult to her or anything?
No.
Oh, okay.
I actually really respect that woman. So.
Yo, mama's so fat.
Yo, mama. So it was more like that. Like, it was kind of a gradual thing. Like, I knew I needed to change something, but I couldn't do anything about it at the moment. And so that immediate next semester, I went to school and I met my roommate. This is really where it kind of changed. I met my roommate. I will shout him out. His name is Grayson. Grayson Hankins is his name.
Big GH.
Yeah. So Grayson looked at me and he was like, do you work out? And I was like, actually, I do not work out. And he looked at me and he goes, you have the perfect build to one day be a Greek god, is what he told me. And he goes, let me be your sculptor, and I will carve you. And I said, that sounds really strange, but I will sign up for it. And so then from then on, every day, I went to the gym every day after that. I went with him that day, and then he got me on pre-workout, and I started lifting weights. And I have never stopped going.
Dang.
Okay.
That was like 2 years ago.
A few questions. So you mentioned at the beginning that you said whenever you got out of the relationship, that you were focusing on your mental first,
right?
Before your
correct.
Physical.
Yeah.
Why is that?
So I realized. So it's kind of like one of those things where, imagine, take a car for example. So if you're fixing up like an old like Chevy truck, and you fix up the whole outside and you make the whole outside like really pristine, but you don't fix the inside, what is it still?
Britney Spears.
Okay. It's still an old crappy Chevy truck, right? Because the inside's like, you're looking at the outside, man, that looks real good on the outside. And then you like get in the inside and, your seat springs like poking you in the butthole, and then, you have to take a screwdriver to start it.
Yeah,
and then, so it's kind of, so
the
I
spring
figured.
in the butthole's the worst.
Yeah, it's pretty bad. So I had to fix the upstairs first before I could work on everything else.
What did that look like?
What did that look like?
What you're saying, it was more of a priority for you.
Yes, it was way more of a priority. Okay. And as for what it looked like, it was a lot of self-reflection. I'll tell you that. So,
because I've heard that maybe it's not a great thing sometimes. So why do you think it's a good thing?
What do you mean, like self-reflection or what?
I think, because I don't know. I'm not tied down to an idea, but I generally tend to think that thinking about yourself too much is harmful.
Oh, okay. So like, so as opposed to like constructing yourself to be a better person, it's more like self-absorbed. Is that what you're asking? Like, how do you not fall into that?
I think there's a good way to do self-reflection, and there's also a bad way.
Yeah.
And sometimes people can be self-absorbed with their feelings. So do you think you avoided that?
No, did I avoid self-absorption? Like, did I avoid being like, lifting myself up? Or okay, let me just answer it kind of how I feel like I need to answer this.
Okay.
So what I realized is that I am absolutely nothing. Okay? So you looked at yourself in the mirror, and in the grand scheme of things, I am just a cog in the machine. Ooh. And there's only two ways you can look at it, your life, once you realize that. Number one is you either embrace being the cog or you deny being the cog. Okay? So if I embrace this whole thing, then I have to embrace the fact that in the grand scheme of things, people just don't care about me. Right? So like most people are not going to, like if I walk through the streets of New York right now, how many people do you think I could walk up to and ask them, "Hey, do you care about me?" Do you think that they would sit there and go, "Hey, I care about." No, none of them would say. They'd be like, "Dude, leave me alone," or they ignore you, right? Because they think I'm some crazy dude off the street. So once you realize that, then you go, "Okay, all I can do is be the best version of myself for myself."
Yeah.
Right? So you look at yourself and you go, "Okay, where do I want to be?" Okay? And then how do I get there?
Mm-hmm. Okay.
And then you have to take. So I told a friend of mine this in college a lot. I said you have a lot of want to, but not a lot of do.
Who, you?
No. I told like an actual friend, like not me myself, but I told a friend this mindset. You have a lot of want to, but not a do. What I meant by that is, if you want to change something, you can sit there all day long and say, "I want to do that," but you have to take the steps to do that, or it's never going to happen. Right? So that's kind of how I adopted the mindset. Like, I mean nothing in the grand scheme of things, so don't think of yourself highly, like above others, or like, "Oh, I'm so the greatest thing ever." It's more like, "Hey, I'm here, but I'm just going to do the best thing I can do for myself." And so that's just kind of how it kind of started.
So maybe your encounter with the dragon took you to realize that you weren't like necessarily.
I was no knight.
So do you think you thought about yourself more highly before then? Because it sounds like you almost kind of died to yourself.
It was more.
Were you more? Do you think? Because you're saying you kind of realized that you were nothing. So did you used to think you were something?
No, it was more like so. It was more of self-pity. It was more like, "Oh, this part of my life sucks, and I wish I could change that, or I wish this was different, or I wish I looked more like this guy, or I wish, But it just became one of those things where I was like, "But you're not that guy, and you'll never look like that guy. All you can be is you. Like all I can look like is how I look like, and so all I can do is basically create the best version of myself."
Okay.
And I mean, I don't even, to be honest, I'm still not even there. It's a pretty long process.
Yeah, I don't think anybody gets there.
No. But yeah. So, and then.
Well, it's interesting. I don't know if I might not be understanding you because I don't know if I agree.
Okay.
Because you're saying you look at somebody, like back then you would look at somebody and be like, I'll never look like that.
Well, I'm saying like physically, like if I looked at you like back then and I said I want to look like Josh. So like what I mean by that is like the same height, like same hairstyle, same kind of looks.
Beautiful.
Not like physical, like on the same level. Like I could look like you physically, like
Brady.
not like height and weight wise, but like muscle, like
things you can
mass
change.
wise. The things that I can physically change.
Okay.
Like I was like, I wish I could physically change that about me to be like that, right? But sometimes that's not achievable, just because it's just not.
Yeah. And what do you mean by like? You said you're not worth anything. What did you say? You're not.
Like, give me retrace my steps.
What did he say? He said something like that where you said.
Yeah, it was. Yeah, because he was like,
you're not anything or whatever.
Yeah, I mean, what I meant by that is like, in the grand scheme of things, like as far as like the view of the world, do you mean anything to the world? Like if I was to die today, how many people would remember me and cherish me?
7.
Maybe sure, probably. So like
8, but.
So like my close friends and my family. But then after my close friends are dead and my family are dead, who's going to remember my name?
Mm.
Who's going to remember me? No one will. Not unless I do something significantly great where I get written in the history books. And then eventually that'll die off too, right? Because that's just how things work.
I was going to say, like, I don't know if there's necessarily a bad thing with that. Like, just having 7 people remember you.
But that's what I mean. That's what I mean.
That's
where you develop that mindset where you either accept that fact that that's going to happen or you deny that, right? But if you accept it, then you make peace with it, right? At the end of the day, no matter what I do, in 200 years, no one's going to remember my name.
Hmm.
And you have to sit here and you have to accept that fact. And if you can't, then I don't know what to tell you because that's literally what the reality is. So, and that's why, to kind of go along with the whole story, I really embraced my faith, right? Because if I realize that in the grand scheme of things in this world, if I mean nothing, then there's got to be someone or something where I mean something too, right? And, I come from a Christian background.
CB.
Yes. So I fully wanted to embrace that part of me and make it a cornerstone of my life. Not just a cornerstone, but the chief cornerstone. That's in Scripture. You can look it up. You're welcome. Nice. So I had to make that a central core of my life because, even in the Bible, it talks a lot about, it's not my life that I live now. It's the life I live by faith, in the Son of God who loved me. Paul wrote a lot about that, and specifically I'm thinking about Galatians. Mm-hmm. But he wrote a lot about that, and he was right, because you look at his life, and it's kind of like what I'm trying to do for my life mentally, which is I don't live to boost myself up. All I can do is be the best version of myself, and then serve others. And be there like as a part of the machine, right? Because it was put to me like this a long time ago. I would say a long time ago, a couple years ago. So I had a professor in school, and he was talking about how in the Bible story, does the Bible story have an ending? Like, do you guys think the Bible has an ending?
I think Revelation 21.
So the Bible has a physical ending, right? But it's not like a regular storybook where it goes, okay, and the story has been concluded, the end. The story concludes when Jesus comes back.
I was going to say it's
so until then, the story is still going on. And as a Christian, I'm a part of that story, whether I like it or not. Now, do I choose to be on the good side of that story or on the bad side of that story? And so it's kind of one of those things where I looked at my life and I was like, I got a lot to change, and I want to be on the good side of that story. But I'm still a part of the story, right? I'm still a part of that machine that keeps moving forward. So that was kind of part of the biggest thing with my mental health.
That's interesting because I went through a similar situation like a couple years ago, like a year or two, and where I was like, I don't know, I was just trying to like absorb all of the information I could on like how to be a better person, and it's like obviously Scripture helps a lot with that, and like just studying, like you said. But I was gonna ask you, like, did you go like to any other sources to like I don't know, be motivated or try to find more discipline or whatever?
No,
nicotine.
no. That would not be a
You
motivator.
smoking or anything?
No,
like that?
no, none of that. Well, a lot of so
5 gum.
what I
That's
went
good.
back. So a lot of what it goes back to. One big thing for me. I'll give you 2 answers to that question. One being mentors. So I had a lot of mentors in college that I looked up to, that I saw how they conducted their lives and how they saw things mentally. One in particular, his name was Josh Webster. He was the college minister at the church that I attended, and he was the kind of like chairman of the club of the. I say club. It was more like just. It was called the like
Little group.
Yeah, it's
get together.
the Christian. It was called a Christian Student Center.
Gaggle.
Is what it was called.
Okay.
So he was the president of like this Christian Student Center, and so I was involved a lot with that throughout school. Anyway, I had a lot of conversations with him where he kind of helped me develop the way that I think and kind of like see things like how he sees, because he always kind of gave it to me black and white. Like if I asked him a question, I was like, "Hey, honestly, what do you think about this?" He would have been like. He wouldn't have like, well, about no. He'd say, "This is exactly how it is. This is how I see it. I see it as black and white." And like if I was doing something stupid, he wouldn't have told me, that might not be. He would have been like, "You're stupid. Like quit being stupid."
Do you have any examples?
Oh, one in particular, I guess. It was actually after the fact that when I broke up with that girl. So I had a conversation with him because I was kind of struggling with it. And he kind of looked at me and he was like, he goes, "You have a choice now," is what he told me. He goes, "You can either cry about it and you can tell everyone and cry about it to them, or you can give it to God and forget about it," is what he told me. He was like, you can take this and it's going to hurt. He was like, I'm not going to lie to you. He goes, "You can take it and you can give it to God and he will heal you how he sees fit because he's the one that knows best. Or you can go to your buddy, and he might give you somewhat okay advice." He goes, "But the best advice I can give you is always take it to God." And I was like, "Okay."
What if he's that buddy with okay advice?
Yeah, I mean,
Wait.
wait a minute. But yeah, so it was one of those things. And then secondly, how I kind of did all that and how I got help was I take it back to the Bible. And what's interesting is when you read Paul actually talks a lot about practicing self-discipline on your own body. And if you can master self-discipline of your own body, it makes it easier to master your mind and master your spiritual prowess too. So, for example, you talk about how he talks about how the Bible says he buffets his body daily. So basically he beats his body daily. He trains his body daily so that he can be, a good race. He can be a good racer, a runner. There you go. Sorry, a racer. He could be a good runner, right? Because he talks about he talks about in Christianity that it's a
Oh my goodness.
that it's you're derailing this. How it's a race, right? Yeah. And so at the end of the day, do you want to be the racer that lags behind, or do you want to be the one that's like the triathlon athlete that's like really good? Anyway, so physical training is it also helps me self-discipline. Anyway, okay.
So just mentors that helped you? Well, hold on. I
Well,
have a question.
So it was mentors, and
I've got
then
a
it
question
was
about that.
physical discipline. So like working out and working on my body.
I got a question.
Yes, sorry. Continue.
So the mentor thing,
Yes.
did you just mentioned one? I assume you had others. Right?
Yes. I
so
did
was
have
the one
some
you
others.
mentioned like older than you or kind of the same
Older.
age?
So Josh is probably in his late 40s. And he's been around for a while.
Okay.
And then some of my other mentors.
I thought of a question.
Okay.
Was like, would you say you can have a mentor like a year older than you, or maybe?
Well,
2
yeah,
years?
for sure. Because I mean, if even you can have a mentor that's your age or younger, right? Because if you think about it, all a mentor is someone who has more knowledge or experience in something that you're wanting more knowledge and experience in.
Okay.
Because, for example, I would say like mentor and teacher can kind of go hand in hand, but it's all about application. Because you can have a teacher be a mentor, but your mentors don't always have to be teachers.
Okay.
because think about school. Think about some of the teachers you had in school. Were all of your teachers, would you say, be considered a mentor? No, but they still taught you something, right? Now, think about your mentors. Your mentors can be a teacher to you, but they're also your mentor. So that's kind of how it works.
Yeah, I guess a teacher isn't going to, sometimes they're not going to be like an example,
right?
Which is a mentor should be.
Exactly. So that could be part of like the application, that you want to look at it.
That's what you're saying. So you had mentors?
Mm-hmm.
Did you like, I don't know, listen to like any podcast or like YouTube?
Actually, now that you mention it, I did listen to occasionally. Occasionally. You actually introduced it to me. The podcast, The Art of Manliness.
Oh yeah, okay.
I really like that podcast. There's some pretty cool episodes on there, but there was a couple that I listened to here and there driving back and forth between here and Alabama.
Yeah.
That I really liked. Other than that, I just kind of focused on just ironing and strengthening my mental fortitude. Like sometimes, because words, people say like a lot of time words hurt, and at the end of the day, they're just words, right? If you really think about it, it's it's just sounds coming into your ear that you have to process. So like if someone says something to me like half offensive, it's like okay.
What about full offensive?
Like even if it's full offensive, all right. Like like there are still some things that will get me like
what?
Fired up.
I know how to do that.
I've gotten a lot better at being just like, shrugging it off and just like kind of laughing it off or just kind of like whatever. Especially people that just don't like you, even though they don't know me. Like because that's another thing I learned is not everybody's gonna like you. And once you figure that out too, it kind of helps with a lot of things.
If everybody likes you.
Then you're a
probably
people pleaser,
not
right?
doing something right.
I was going to say you're a people pleaser, and that's not necessarily a good thing either.
That's fair.
At politicians.
Yeah. Speaking of politicians.
Oh no, we're not going there.
Oh no, I was just going to say you watched. I know you know a lot about like guns.
I do.
So did you shoot the president?
That's crazy.
I'm just kidding.
No.
No, but do you know?
I'm pretty sure the guy that did that got dispatched.
Yeah.
Or did he?
Ooh.
Dismembered. So
Dismembered.
You recently kind of did some research on like
I don't know
the
about,
whole setup on like the shooting.
So I don't know about like research, but I more like watched findings from people that did do research, and of course I've read stuff and I've seen stuff and I've looked into.
And was
like
it
that,
mainly about like if it could have been staged?
Yes. Okay. So one of the biggest concepts or the things that they're trying to bring up is that the whole thing was staged, right?
Okay.
That the fact that you look at past assassination attempts on presidents or would be actually it's never happened to a would be president. It's always happened to a current president. But anyway, or a past president that is trying to run again. It's never happened like that.
Yeah.
So when you look at those situations, the numbers always spike for the one that was either the one that was attempted assassination on.
Well, hold on, you lost me. What numbers?
Poll numbers. So like support. So it's kind of like the popularity. Whatever.
Yeah.
Anyway, so what's interesting is the shot itself is kind of interesting. So the kid was probably, I think they say about 120 to 140 yards away from where the president was on an incline. So he was on that roof. And what happened was
very steep roof.
Very well, according to the Secret Service, I almost said Social Security, but according to the Secret Service, yes, it was. But what had happened is he was actually posted up, and he had a rangefinder, and he was ranging that shot. But the problem was the kid was rocking basically like a really low tier over the counter AR-15. So like not like a top of the line precise AR that like you've dialed in. This thing has got like state of the art parts and everything. This is like something that he went and bought for like $1,500 over the counter, right?
Yeah.
And then on top of that, he's scoping in with a hollow scope. So he doesn't even have a sniper scope. He didn't. He had a hollow scope.
Wow.
So I heard people saying
it's kind of a good shot then.
I've heard people saying it was iron sight, so it's confirmed hollow.
Yes, as far as we know so far, they've seen it with holographic.
And is a hollow the one that's like
so hollow
glass?
looks like it's like a little box. So it looks like that little box because
so it's kind of got like the red dot thing.
Well, it's more like a circle with like with crosshairs. But you can always change. It depends on the red dot. Like what you can change that crosshair or whatever. But anyway, he was ranging 120 to 140 yards on a hollow, which that thing has no zoom, no nothing. So he's just straight up going, all right, that's far, Yeah. So and then you have on the other end of the spectrum, you have the I believe they had something Mark 7s. So like they're like the state of the art precision marksman rifles, okay?
Yeah.
And
the Secret Service.
Secret Service, right? And they're rocking optics that are
Big
that are
O's.
ranged for 200 plus yards because according to his name is Task and Purpose. He's a really great YouTuber that you should check out. He does a lot of cool like news coverings, like it's very unbiased like news coverings of like military or
Task and Purpose.
Yeah, Task and Purpose is his name.
Okay.
So he was talking about how on his channel, so some of his background, I'll kind of back up. So give some of his credentials. He was in the military and he served as like an infantryman in the military, and since then he's done lots of trainings or whatever. But he did a lot of security detail in the military, so he knows a lot about kind of the progression of security detail that happened with the president and everything. And what he was talking about is the reason why the sniper team didn't notice that shooter is because they're not looking for people in the crowd. That team that was on that roof, they're looking for counter sniping. So they're looking for guys that are 200 plus yards out trying to snipe the president. So the reason why they had those Mark 7s with the huge scopes on it is because they're ranged out to 300 yards plus with 30-06 Sierra Match Kings. Like these things are like they're what's called I'll talk about this for the AR too. Well, but what's called, I guess it's called like your differential. So when you shoot a rifle, depending on the bullet, depending on the powder behind it, depending on the weight of the round and the material that the round's made of, and how hot or how cold the barrel is, there's going to be a differential in where the bullet strikes up to 100 yards plus, right? So, for example, we'll take that kid's AR-15, okay? So your regular over-the-counter civilian AR-15, when you shoot, let's say 30 rounds through this thing and it's hot, okay, and then you shoot another 30 rounds through this thing, at 100 yards, your bullet spread, if you're really, really good shot, even if you're aiming dead on, there's no shake, no wind, nothing, you're still going to get about a 3-inch radius of a circle where your bullets are going to strike, because the barrel's heating up, just because the bullets aren't always going to be the perfect blend of, weight, propulsion, everything else, and the barrel just gets hot. And so when metal gets hot, it expands, right? Mm-hmm. And so that radius is going to be about 3 inches at 100 yards, okay? Now, you take into account there was a crosswind at that rally, okay, and he was on an incline looking down. Well, and he had adrenaline cooking through his veins. So his differential is probably about 5 inches.
Well, okay.
At 100 yards, which is an insane distance.
Well, I like what you're saying here, but honestly,
you like what he's saying.
You like what I'm saying.
I like what you're saying here. This is pretty informed, and you're giving me some new ideas. But all that being said, what you're proposing is, because I've heard a lot of SEAL snipers, which I think they have a biased opinion. Okay. They're saying a 12-year-old with 10 minutes of training could hit this shot. But really, with his setup and his gear, you're saying this is almost more of a...
So he got lucky.
Harder shot.
He got lucky that he even hit.
It sounds like a good shot.
because
but
okay.
But you're saying lucky, but also if you look at the video where it shows kind of like, I don't know if you've seen it, but there's a video where it shows like Trump's head and then he turns. Right. Before that turn, he was dead center.
So they actually proved that. So I was watching Grantham. We kind of talked about this earlier, but in the video he was showing that even through a scoped rifle, if you're aiming at a certain point. And so, like, say, for example, like, I'm aiming at, like, the middle of your forehead, right?
Okay.
And then you turn your head.
You think you could hit him?
It's still going to be the same spot, right? In the plane of space, right? So, in space, that's still the same dot. So, even if I have my head like this and I was aiming right here, if I turned my head like this, it's still going to hit right here, not over here.
Yeah, you kind of have to move.
You kind of have to like physically like move out of the way. Like you can't, because when you turn your head, it's still, because you got to think, you got your x-axis,
there's a little,
and your y, and then you got z, right? So he's only moving on the z plane, right?
But
and he's not moving the y, and he's not moving the x. He's only moving the z plane. So it's still going to be the same spot.
The only difference would be the thickness of head.
Look. I'm right here. I'm talking like this. Boom! It hits right in my ear.
The only difference is thickness.
He shot it. But look, like I'm talking about the bullet differential, right? So if he's aiming right here and at 100 yards, that thing's 5 inches off, depending on the bullet, depending on the wind speed, everything else. If he's still aiming right here, it's still going to hit over here, right? Because the wind's going to carry it and the spin of the bullet is going to carry it right there. And then you also have to think about this. You also have to think about this. They were testing on Grantham, right? They had a head at 140 yards, and he was looking through a holoscope, and he's like, dude, I can't even hardly see the head. Because you put that red dot on him, and the whole red dot covers up his head.
Covers the head. Yeah.
So the fact that kid even hit his ear is surprising.
So that being said,
because hold on.
Does it seem like maybe this kid, there's a possibility
he was a trained sharpshooter?
He was trained.
No, he was not. Because look,
but he got close on the first shot.
Oh, yeah, and then his follow-up shots were trash.
But that makes sense because he's scared.
Recoil.
Right, but here's the other thing you got to think about. They said the way that it's come out right now is that a cop saw him on the roof, and what he did when he saw the cop looking at him is he turned around and tucked the rifle between him, and then he knew he was about to get busted, so he branched right back out, and that's when he took the shot.
Well, that's a high skill shot to be.
It's a highly rushed shot, and the man just was pot shotting at 100
But
yards.
he hit
a rush shot, but he still hits.
But
with
he hits,
ACOG.
okay,
140 meters, 140
it wasn't
yards
even
away.
an ACOG though. That has magnification. Homie was hitting him with a holographic sight.
Dude, you're making him sound like a superhero.
Yeah,
it's not. Look, I'm telling you right now. It will change your mind. Go watch the Grand Thumb video. He breaks it down and he explains the fact of how literally you could try to replicate that shot 100 times and you will never hit him in the ear like he did.
So really, you're saying
he
was lucky.
The bullet got lucky with the wind and everything. Yeah, he got lucky that it even hit him. I'm gonna be honest with you.
Okay.
Because look, so in the military they shoot center mass. If you ever take any shooting courses, you shoot center mass. Why? Because it's a bigger target.
Yeah.
Okay? But that kid probably knew that because when presidents and people like that speak, they're probably wearing Kevlar underneath their whatever they're wearing. So their chest, right? Center mass, right? And so you have to aim for the head.
So he was going to do a Mozambique on him.
Yes. So you have to aim for the head. But at 100 yards, the head is like a pin, like the head of a needle, right? There's no way that you're hitting that. Even if they had a marksman rifle, Grantham, who's a trained sniper, right? Not even trained. He was trained military. I don't know if he's a trained sniper. He's like trained recon or whatever. But it took him 2 shots with a precision rifle that was stable. He had no adrenaline in him to nail his mock-up of Trump in the ear. It took him 2 shots
with an AR.
No, he had like a precision rifle that was shooting like Sierra Match King like 308s, basically the same rifle that the Secret Service was rocking.
But honestly, dude, what you're saying, he kind of sounds like he's not. Was he special forces? Was he regular Marine?
Grantham or the kid?
The Grantham.
Grantham, he taught like recon classes, like how to survive behind enemy lines and not get detected. But he's a trained and he talks about in his video.
I just had an insane thought.
Okay, hit me with it.
So you hear now, right, that he got shot, like the shot missed his brain. You hear now that is like an act of God, right?
Yeah.
What if it was an act of God that the bullet hit his ear? Like
God was like, all right, let's make this interesting. And then
I'm going to make the bullet hit his ear so that his popularity will go up or something. What if it's the opposite?
I really doubt.
Not that he missed the head, but that he hit his ear. In that sense. I don't know. I just thought about that. I was like, man, because you're making it sound like a crazy impossible shot. Which
but here's the thing that I have to circle back to. They think it's staged because. Or people that claim that it's staged, and they're saying that it's not staged because if I was actively trying to hit someone's ear with the setup that kid had, you would have to be a crazy, insane, talented marksman that has the luck of Domino from the X-Men.
Yeah, I think if you truly believe that Trump had it set up to where he had somebody hit him in the ear, you need help.
You do.
You need help.
You do.
But that's not really what I'm saying. What I'm saying is, I think it's a legitimate question of, okay, there's a huge discrepancy in how a 20-year-old was able to navigate a extremely secure area, get within 120 yards.
So it wasn't as secure. So that's what we're trying to figure out right now. Because they're like, how in the world did this kid get into this to begin with and not be spotted until after the shots were raying off? Okay, so what's going on is they're talking about how the Secret Service are saying that they were only regulated, or they're only allowed to patrol and secure a certain area, and then beyond that area was the local police's responsibility. Mm-hmm. And so what's going on is the police is blaming the Secret Service on lack of security, and the Secret Service is pointing at the local police and saying, well, that was your area of patrolling and you failed at your job to patrol. Because if you go and you look and you kind of do some research on it, there was police officers who saw the kid get on the roof. And that's why he started rushing the shot, because they saw him. Right, they saw him on the roof, and they said that a police officer literally grabbed the roof and looked up at him, and that's when he turned and covered the rifle so he couldn't see it, right? So the police officer now sees that and he doesn't see a gun, right? Because so he has no
He's just like, oh, there's a guy up here. No big deal.
rules of engagement, right? He sees no gun, so he can't draw his weapon.
Yeah.
Right. There's no threat to his life, and there's no threat.
But that's not how you approach a target. When you approach a target,
how do you know how to approach a target?
Because you have gun at eye level. That's the first thing you do.
The officer
so he shouldn't have holster. If you're climbing a ladder, you don't wait to see target to pull holster. You pull holster from the beginning.
But you're missing the point. The officer was just scouting. He didn't have his weapon pulled to kill the dude because he had no idea that he even had a gun. But he was just going, why is there a punk kid on this roof?
Yeah, why didn't he go up to him?
He was investigating the kid on the roof.
That's the question they're asking. I don't know.
He was investigating the kid on the roof because there's multiple reports of a man with a gun on the roof.
Right.
So if there's a possibility that he has a gun, any trained professional would come gun at sights at eye level, and you would never take the approach to
wait to be shot. But then you have to ask this question: if you were in the point of view of this police officer, especially nowadays, and you've got this body cam on, and you've heard, there's supposedly a guy with a gun on the roof. Okay, you roll up to the roof, you pull your service weapon, and then you start aiming at this guy on the roof, and it turns out it's just some protester kid who just wanted to get on the roof and have this really rude sign to Donald Trump, and now you've pulled your weapon on some poor, unsuspecting, innocent kid, and you were trying to kill him. And now how does that look as you as a police officer?
I think that's valid. I think
that's not, because you're at a Trump rally. You have to take all the precaution you can. If the president's over there and you're on a roof, like, that looks bad. I would pull my weapon, and it doesn't matter what the optics look like.
Are probably going through the officer's head, and so he just did what he thought best in the moment,
and just let him be.
Exactly, it was wrong. So he messed
up. That's the stupidest
right?
thing he could have done.
Well, I don't know what I would do in that situation with the training or the information at hand.
Okay. The training to run away from the target is the worst possible training, because then you open yourself. Yeah. Because literally
now you're
a moving target.
Well, not only that, now he has successfully secured the high ground. You have no tactical advantage of sneaking up on him. At that point, if he was maybe a more trained professional, he would run to roof line, shoot the police officer with way better vantage point.
So you're saying you would hope that this kid would have been more trained to do what he's supposed to do?
No, I'm just saying
I don't think the kid would run over and shoot the cop before he shot the president.
The most tactical.
His goal was to shoot the president and then probably get out of there.
Well, the most tactical advantage. Advantage is to take out The point is, running away from target is the worst possible idea, because then you open up backside, you give away high ground advantage. I mean, you do. Like, it's literally
opening up for that 5.56 to keep you back shots that you don't want.
I mean, there's been multiple special forces operators that have talked about that police officer did the worst tactical thing he could have ever done.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah,
I think we all agree here. He didn't even escalate the situation. I mean, at the end of the day, he still could have walked up there with a taser and been like, hey, what are you doing? Taser, bam, and just subdued him. But, he didn't do anything. So,
yeah,
it's on that guy.
really, I think the whole thing is just.
Also, something I've been hearing multiple things about the whole situation. Okay, I heard first that the director of Secret Service was like, we couldn't have people on the roof because it was too sloped.
Yeah, it was too dangerous and too much of a slope, right?
So it was too sloped. And then I've heard also that that area was the police officer's area. So what is it? Could they be on the roof, or is it
the answer? So from what I saw on Task and Purposes thing is, when Secret Service knows that they're about to, so Secret Service in a week or even in months in advance will scope the area out that they're going to be set up on, right? And so they'll look at all the possible angles and rooftops and inclines where someone that wanted to, say, snipe a speaker would most likely hang out. Okay, so they do kind of de-escalation of threats, right? So you go, all right, this elevation right here, this is the least of our worries. So when we're going through and we're checking everywhere, this will be kind of the last mode of operation, or this is the least possible area somebody could be. Okay, and then they take the higher important places, okay, well, across the street up on this roof is a perfect line of sight to where the podium is going to be. We need somebody up there, right? And so they kind of choose these different spots. and kind of break it down beforehand. And so probably what happened was the Secret Service deemed that area too unsafe for someone to be posted up on, like one of their operatives, okay? And so they give it to the police, and they're like, hey, just patrol that area and make sure no one gets up on that roof, okay? And then that didn't happen, of course, but so that's probably, I'm not saying that's like a
crazy coincidence.
Right.
The kid would choose that day and that,
Well, bare minimum, there should have been, if somebody could not have been on the roof because it was some sort of hazard, bare minimum, there should have been an officer on point at the permanent ladder, like attached to the building. The ladder was not brought. That was an early on theory. It's a permanent structure.
Already there.
It's a permanent fixture of the structure, yeah.
That's an easy guard right there because there was 3 Secret Service agents in the building on the whatever story roof.
Oh, so Secret Service was outside.
They were literally in the building.
I don't know if they were.
See, this is
okay. I don't know about. Okay, I can't speak on that because I don't know about that.
I can't.
But
I've been listening to the Kim Cheadle hearing all day.
Okay,
and the FBI investigated. There was Secret Service in the building.
That's another
so they
whole
literally
in the
had
story.
people there.
Yeah, how is she going to say we don't have Secret Service out in that area when there's 3 people in?
Well,
the
they're
building?
saying if they're in the building, they wouldn't know if he got on
it. Okay, let's be honest.
That's not my question.
Somebody's lying. Somebody doesn't want to get found
clearly
out. I was about to say somebody doesn't want to lose their job over this. So everyone's just pointing fingers right now.
Really, when I think about it, honestly, it's going to be easy to get lost in like all the details and semantics of, who did what and whatnot. But really, the fact of the matter is, either it is complete incompetency, which is gross.
Yeah, for some people that are that trained.
Or it is what do you call it? Basically made to happen.
It's a setup.
It's a setup, which both are gross. In either way, it just needs to be reprimanded.
Somebody does.
The serious thing is, how has Joe Biden not appeared on live television for 5 days and resigned? And the only way we've heard about him is through voice call.
I honestly think his handlers were like, Joe,
I
need you to do something for us, Joe.
I'm going to come out.
What do you mean? What do I got to do?
Come on, man.
Come on, man. I just want to,
we're friends.
Bro,
I just want to describe America in one more word again.
I'm going to tell I'm going to tell the honkies.
Okay.
Joe Biden is dead.
No.
Joe Biden.
Do you think he finally kicked the bucket and they just used an AI voice recording of him?
Joe Biden Joe Biden is either dead or has suffered a serious stroke because his appearance on CNN, the voice recording of him, he's literally drunk, slurring his words, which is a common
like a sign
symptom
of stroke, right?
A common symptom of stroke. So he's either a horrible AI recording, which I'd like to think AI does better.
Look, bro.
If
you would have told me this 2 weeks ago, I would have been like, no way. Yeah. Now I'm like, dude,
it might be possible.
Exactly. So that's one of the things I asked the Patreon members. I said, hey, what have y'all been thinking about? And that's funny that you say that because this is what one of our Patreon members said. They said, I'm delighted by the history I'm witnessing. In this decade of the roaring 2000s, from COVID and lockdowns to massive supply chains disruptions to the largest IT outage in the history of IT, to the first convicted former president to now the first presidential dropout for re-election in my lifetime, and coming up election convention that will be held, coming up the election convention that will be the Wild West. The 80s and 90s had nothing on this decade.
Okay, to me, you know what that kind of sounds like? Someone went to chat GPT and then just said, please write me a paragraph on pain. And then that's what came out. Because that's how I feel right now, thinking about all that. I don't want to be a part of this history.
So it sounds like whoever wrote this is was still alive in the 80s and 90s.
Yeah, definitely.
Think about us right now. We're only in our 20s, dude. Think about what else is going to happen the rest of our lives.
Do I even want to know?
And it's crazy because whoever mentioned the IT thing, and Carter just said out loud, "Oh, I forgot about that."
I did. That was about that.
2 days ago. That's the news cycle. I always mention this.
I'm gonna be 100% with you. I've had a lot more going on than to worry about a Microsoft outage. I'm not gonna lie to you. So. Because we don't use Microsoft.
I'm surprised your company didn't.
Yeah, we use other programs. But yeah.
What kind of programs do you use?
So, wow. Okay,
I do not care.
I do not care.
I want to get to the other Patreon question. a little bit and see if this strikes any chords, because it
Strum me silly.
was kind of similar to what we opened up with, but another person said, I had a lot of household chores this morning and I was a bit grumpy about it, but it turned into a moment to be thankful for houses in general, but that they aren't just a house, but they can be a home. In divisive and unsettling times throughout history, it's such a gift from God to have a place that you can come to turn on a light and feel a sense of comfort and warm security.
Did a white woman write this on, like, put it on her wall or something?
Well,
Let me guess. She's got live, laugh, love.
Yeah, I was gonna say,
on
and
the
her
walls.
husband probably hates himself.
well, it says
Sorry, whoever that is. I'm joking.
you guys are being actual idiots. Unbelievable.
Sorry.
This is a loyal patron.
I'm sorry. Your $1 is greatly
the specials.
appreciated.
But anyways,
All 10 of you.
it says, much like coming home to God our Father, which is really beautiful.
Okay, they kind of made it up.
Would
there.
love to hear from the honks. What makes a place feel like home? And anyways,
Ooh.
Probably some live, laugh, love. I'm so sorry. What would make a place feel like a home is the question?
I just
A couple of ice cold pair of socks to put on after work.
Socks in the fridge?
Yeah,
Yo,
bro.
is that the move?
Socks in the fridge,
Socks
bro.
in the fridge?
You can't put them in the freezer because then you're just putting on like solid blocks of
The
ice.
fridge, though, when you come
The
home.
fridge. Yeah. Just
Ooh, I need to try
do that and your chocolate milk glasses,
this is
bro.
coming. This is
It's game changer.
Put your blanket
That's
and
what
pillow
makes a
in there,
house
too.
at home.
That I like that answer.
I mean, you're literally talking to the ice pervert himself.
Okay, all right.
Socks in the fridge,
From
dude.
The socks in the fridge, man.
From the toes to his mouth.
From the toes to my mouth, I am nothing but okay.
All right, and more serious.
But
So what does make a home to you, Josh?
Makes a home?
Yeah.
Do you have your answer already?
no, I just
Come on, man.
I think
It's got to be from the heart, so it's got to come off like off the cuff.
Probably
I
a
can't
nice home-cooked meal ready for me when I get home.
Who? No one's doing that for you.
I'm just kidding. Hungry man.
Hungry man.
Kid cuisine.
Kid cuisine goes hard. No lie, especially Danimals.
Probably having
Jimmy Dean sauce.
having it nice and like 68 degrees, and that makes a nice home.
I go for a solid 69.
If I'm not
personally.
sweating when I get home, and I'm in the home,
I like that.
I'm not. You know,
I sweat
need
all
much.
day. I sweat pretty much all day. So to come home and it be like nice and cold, it feels great.
yeah, I agree.
Yeah, no, I mean if you got a warm house, you're on death's doorstep. So
That's for old people. Warm houses
yeah.
for old people.
You hear that, honkies?
I just think that the only reason I'm bringing this up is because things are only going to get more wild. It's crazy to think that things are going to calm down. And it's important to realize where your home is. And that's what you started the episode off with. Like, we can get into all the semantics about politics and, oh, Trump had a ketchup packet on his ear and he squished it really quick whenever he got shot. Or they actually shot a piece of, like, the glass protector and it hit his ear. All these kinds of crazy things. Okay? And they're not going to do any use. But if we define our home, if we define America, the values that we're looking for, is the person that we choose to represent us, are they building a good home or a bad home? Not is Joe Biden stroke slurring or is Kamala Harris
Donald Trump said
a lizard person? I literally have never seen more Botox in a face.
Oh.
But
She said my face is stretched out.
and I've said it before.
Joe.
I don't know that Trump is building a great home. I think he's just getting us out of
the flow of time.
He's getting us out of government housing right now.
Yeah, we've been in Section 8 for...
What is it like? What is that? Project 2020? Was it Project 25? Is that
I don't even know what that is.
So
Nobody knows what that is.
I don't know if I know enough to speak on that, but anyway.
I have no idea what it is.
Anyway, look it up. Actually, I don't look that up. Don't say I told you to do that.
Yeah, I know that's like a Democratic talking point to try to get people to not vote Republican, but nobody knows what it is.
This might be one of those years that we vote for a third party. Because this is just ridiculous.
The Green Party? Is that the one?
No, whatever party Mr. I sound like Kermit the Frog is a part of. Yeah, what's his name? Like JFK, J.K. Rowling? What's his name?
It's
JKL.
It's RFK. But
RFK?
Bobby Kennedy. But honestly, dude, if you're voting Democrat, brother.
Oh, we're really going there.
Brother. I mean, how disgraceful is it for that party to have basically 12 million people vote for Joe Biden in the primaries? Okay. So 12 million votes were just absolutely, completely and utterly pointless because he dropped out with a letter written on a paper towel with no letterhead, no signature block, no
on
seal,
Twitter.
no anything. I just can't understand. Maybe you guys can help me out. Is it a fair excuse for the President of the United States to not even appear on live television because he has COVID or sick? It's like that is such a huge decision. If it is
kind
such
of less of a man, if you don't just come out and say it,
well,
like
if
with
it
your
is,
chest.
It's insulting
like
to all Americans.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, 12 million people voted. Like it or not, they voted for this man. And
I mean, okay, when the way I like to look at things is, take for example this. So when you go into the voting booth, imagine this for me for a second.
I'm ready. Hold on, close your eyes, Josh.
Would Elmo vote for this candidate? Right. So you're going in the booth and you go,
oh, okay, Joe Biden. I don't know if I want to do that.
right. So like Elmo wouldn't do it. So why would you? But then Elmo looks at Trump.
He kind of looks like Big Bird mixed with Elmo. A little bit red, a little bit busy. You know how it is? He got shot. That's not good for Sesame Street. That's not kid friendly.
So, I mean, like, you can't vote for that either. And then he just, you
Vote for Elmo.
you just...
Hold on, let me think what Ernie would say.
Ernie?
Wait, what
about Cookie Monster?
Who would?
I love to vote for Joe Biden because he's blue, right?
Who would Oscar?
Almost red.
Elmo
loves the Republican National Committee.
Okay, bro. What about Marvin the Martian? What would he think? What would he say?
I don't know if I would vote for anybody here. I only like Mars politics. The other day, Glorp he got found out that he did, in fact, have sexual relations with that woman. So, yeah.
Oh, my goodness. What about Mickey Mouse?
I only vote for Disney-related products, so I cannot legally endorse this. Please go visit my parks. Yeah.
All right, I'll that's some good food for thought. I'll think about that when I'm in the voting booth. I'll think about what would Elmo do.
Yep, please do that.
I cannot believe that we just got to explain ballistics by
Elmo?
the man with the
Gun goes boom.
Sesame Street, Mickey Mouse, and Marvin the Martian impressions.
That's insane, bro.
I don't even.
What were we talking about? I had something to say. I forgot what it was.
I'm sorry. How can you vote for the Democratic Party?
Voting. Oh, you Joe Biden.
It's just he took away so many people's right to democracy.
Who? Joe Biden did?
Yes.
So nobody's seen him for 5 days?
No, 5 days since Las Vegas.
I didn't know that. Wait, Las Vegas?
He was in Vegas for something, and then
I remember what I was going to say.
He got replaced by a skinwalker.
He was in some interview, like 9 hours before he dropped out.
Yeah,
bro, he wrote a message on Twitter.
Well, he was in this interview and he was talking to this guy, right? And the guy's question was like, "So, are you, talking about his age or whatever?" And this is not verbatim, but he was like, "You're ever gonna even consider, dropping out? Or are you committed to staying in the race?"
Yeah.
And 9 hours before he dropped out, he goes, 1,000% staying in the race.
It's
like, if we can't.
That's because he talked to his handlers.
It doesn't matter. Like, if you gotta have your own voice, and you gotta, if people see that and then they see that Joe drops out 9 hours later, how can you believe anything he said?
You can't.
For the past 4 years.
You can't.
How can somebody with a brain think that he's been telling the truth?
Well, the White House staff was saying they didn't.
You said it.
They said
they
they
didn't
found
know.
out that he dropped out of the race through X.
Yeah,
They found out their Twitter, which is insane.
the whole party's in shambles, dude.
Well, it's a
I don't know
joke.
what's going on.
It's a clown show is what it is.
The
whole thing is a clown show. I mean, okay, as much as people liked it, you also have to point out the fact of how ridiculous the Republican National Committee was with the fact that Hulk Hogan was endorsing.
brother.
Yeah, was endorsing.
I America great again.
Yeah, brother.
And I was like,
Grow a mustache like me and drink Busch Light. It'd be a good day.
You know, I think
You
we
know,
need
like-
another big boy press conference. I think that'll really do the trick.
But I mean, it's become like, as an American, I'm ashamed of like both sides of the coin. To be
So-
honest with you,
Just a Parks and Rec episode.
yeah, it's just a straight up comedy is what we're living through right now. You know what? If I look at it like that, I agree with that honk that put in that thing. It is great to be alive to witness this absolute insanity. Like, imagine what was going on in Roman times that wasn't recorded. Like, what did Augustus say about Gaius's mommy? Like, I mean,
Augustus Goop.
Augustus Goop, you know, did he in fact swim in the chocolate lake? I don't know. But, you know, just imagine what we've missed out on. Like, the shade that people used to throw to each other in ancient times. Like, it probably had to do with goat stealing, but
Yeah.
I'm sure it hit
My
hard
horse
back
is
then.
bigger than yours.
well, I guess
Probably.
I guess full circle. It's like you started the podcast by saying to realize your place in the world,
Right.
and what your life means and matters. And I don't think anybody remembers what Julius Caesar really did that much.
Vini,
I mean,
Vidi, Vici. I came, I saw, I conquered.
he got assassinated and he did some cool things
Et tu,
in
Brute.
the Roman Empire. It lasted for a little while, but
For a little while.
really, I mean, we just nations come and go.
Right. And we
And-
we only saw the big stuff. We missed out on the day-to-day stuff.
Yeah, I mean, nobody's talking about if Joe Biden had a stroke in 2,000 years.
They'll just...
Nobody's talking about these IT power outages.
Yeah.
Going on.
I mean, it might be like a footnote in some like
Carter already
IT
forgot
book.
about it.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure the biggest IT power outage was the pyramids.
Okay.
Because those used to conduct massive amounts
I
of
don't-
electricity.
What?
Put your hat back on.
Yeah, put the cone of shame on.
Put your hat back on.
the cone of
The
shame.
Tesla pyramids were hydraulic conductors capable of creating sonic frequencies that were able to lift 70-ton stones that made them.
The only frequencies that are coming in are being reflected off of your tin hat right now.
Let me throw you something. Maybe it was built by the Israelites.
Dude, okay.
Aliens. It was all aliens.
I'm getting so scared about Twitter because the amount... Bro,
Of like
You need to get
anti-Semitism
off.
or whatever.
You need to get off Twitter.
I do need to get off of it.
I've never
But the
been on
amount of people that are like... It is wild. The amount of people, I'll click on a post and it'll go, okay, the shooter that shot Thomas Crooks is Jonathan Willis or whatever the name is. Now I'll go to the comments and I'll be like, oh, let's see the fact checks. The first top comment is, he was a Jew. Here's his family. Here's his mom's
Okay,
relationship. And
but-
the amount of anti-Semitism
Yeah, it's
on the
bad.
internet is
Okay, but if you think about it, this is exactly what Germany was turning into in World War II.
a little bit.
Literally straight up. Because there started becoming a lot of problems, and then everyone started pointing back to who was the cause of the problem. Jews. But now it's cool again to make fun of Jews and blame them on everything. So, like, now people, like, it's messed up. Like, what happened to, hey, the Holocaust? Like, I mean, just because a group of people, you don't like them, doesn't mean they're the cause of all your problems.
That goes for liberals. That goes
for anything, right?
Because
It's a spectrum.
you can
okay?
only do what you can do, right?
There's just coffee tables on coffee tables, man.
Okay,
That's all I'm
bro.
saying. If you get that reference, I love you.
Well, like
Not in a gay way.
I mean, but that's what Carter's point is. Like, there's like going to be these hated groups throughout history, but
Yeah.
there's good and there's evil,
Yep.
and there's things that you can either subscribe to and let destroy your life, and you can
Like the
become-
Honest Honkies podcast. Either subscribe or don't. But please do.
the Honest Honkies is a good.
It's a good.
It is a good.
It's a good.
It might be the ultimate good.
The home of the honk.
Might be the only good out there.
Like, you can scroll through your YouTube feed and you'll see,
Oh,
this disabled
we
person.
forgot to mention.
What? No, he
Brother.
did mention it earlier, but we kind of like glossed over it.
I breezed past it.
Never mind.
If you've made it this far in this train wreck of an episode,
This is a great episode. I know what you're talking about.
100 rotten brains.
If you,
I'm a part of the problem.
I'd actually like to announce there's going to be a post on our Instagram, so if you would like to participate, go check it out. We're going to be giving away 2 shirts, that actually the one that Carter's wearing.
Home of the honk, baby. Home
We're
of the
giving away
honk.
2 Home of the Honk shirts. Those
was comfortable.
I promise.
Very exclusive.
It is not a white nationalist statement.
Whoa.
It's just.
Why do you have to go there?
It's just.
It's just a cool shirt.
Shit, we're doing
dude.
a promo right now. We have to bring white nationalism
It's
in.
just a cool shirt.
I promise, dude. This is not some Wes Anderson or Wes Watson, not
Wes Anderson, the director.
I meant to say Wes Watson. No, dude, we're giving away cool shirts. Go like the post and maybe you'll get one.
Maybe you can win it.
And
If I win, do I get 2?
No, you already have one.
Dang it.
Carter,
Yes.
on a serious note,
Okay.
is there any recent wisdom you've come upon that you're trying to incorporate more into your daily life, or
Absolutely.
a good thought?
So one thing that I realized is that a lot of times the things that are going to be most productive and helpful for your life are the things that are not going to bring you pleasure or comfort. Okay? So, for example, at work, the things I need to immediately get done are going to take time. They're going to be hard to do, and it's not going to be very fun. Or I could sit at my desk and do nothing all day and then push it off to the last minute and then try to finish it as fast as possible. Or I could get it done and be comfortable eventually, right? And so what I've learned is a lot of times I have to get the hard stuff done first or I'll never do it. So I get the hard stuff done out of the way even when I don't want to do it, so that when I look back I go, I'm glad I did that. So take a look at your life. There's things that you want to change. Do the hard things first. And then the easy things are going to be the remainder. You know, like get it all out of the way first and foremost. So there you go. There's my parting wisdom.
Do the hard things first.
Do the hard things first.
Like
Do the hard thing.
Get to 40 episodes, brother.
Like, subscribe to the Patreon.
Like
Not even that hard.
It's so hard.
whatever,
Press a button.
whoever Iggy Azalea votes
press the
for,
button.
I will vote for.
Elmo will subscribe.
Have you seen she was at the RNC?
No, I have not.
No.
No, it was not Iggy Azalea.
Well, her name's Iggy, isn't it?
No, who is the other? I forgot.
Dude.
I don't know.
Amber Rose.
Oh, Amber Rose. Oh, it was, yeah,
it was
it's
not
Amber Rose.
Iggy
I'm
Azalea.
pretty sure Iggy Azalea would get mad that you just compared her to Amber Rose.
What's the
I'm gonna be
difference?
100%.
That's insane.
Yeah, there you go.
Insane.
All right.
Yeah.
On that note, dude, the honks. We're not in. We're out.
Carter.
Honk us out, Carter. No, come on, give him a honk.
Yeah, we don't know nothing, but we hope you enjoy the something. We just talking that don't know nothing. You know we have fun and it doesn't bust it. We love you, homie. May we keep the gravy and stuffing. Gravy and stuff, and I keep your mom in a Dutch oven. Gravy and stuff. Gravy and stuff. Gravy and stuff.